From the moment we are born, we are given a name, a culture, a story. We learn quickly which parts of us are praised and which are punished. We adapt, we perform, we survive. Carl Jung called this performance the persona, the mask we wear to meet the world. It's not a lie, it's a survival tool, a necessary interface between our inner world and the outer one. But the danger arises when we forget that it is a mask, when we believe the role we've been playing is the totality of who we are. Who would you be without your name, your job title, your reputation? What happens when the mask begins to crack? Beneath the persona lies the shadow. Not evil, not wrong, simply rejected. The shadow is everything we deny, repress, or hide. Our rage, our lust, our sorrow, our brilliance. As children, we may have been told, don't cry, don't be selfish, don't speak up. So we buried those impulses deep, and in doing so, we buried parts of ourselves. But the shadow does not die, it waits, and in the silence of night, in the irrational reaction, in the patterns we cannot break, it speaks. Have you ever disliked someone without knowing why? Have you ever been triggered by something small? That's the shadow trying to make itself known. The parts of you you've pushed away are not your enemies. They are your lost limbs. To become whole, you must reclaim them. Jung believed that the path to authenticity is not found in perfection, but in individuation, the process of becoming the totality of who you are. This is not self-improvement. This is self-discovery. Individuation is about unifying the conscious and unconscious mind. It's a process of integration, of reconciling your persona with your shadow, your desires with your fears, your inner feminine with your inner masculine. It begins with awareness, noticing recurring emotional triggers, examining dreams, and listening to the quiet voice inside that tells the truth. It's also about identifying what isn't yours, the values you've inherited, the beliefs you've accepted without question, the ambitions that don't actually belong to you. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? What parts of me have I been afraid to express? Journaling, therapy, shadow work, dream analysis, these are all practical tools of individuation, and so is honest conversation with yourself. This journey requires courage. It means walking through the discomfort of unlearning and having the humility to admit you don't fully know who you are yet. But as you strip away false identities, you begin to see glimpses of something more whole, more real, more you. But our story does not exist in isolation. Jung proposed that beneath the personal unconscious lies a deeper well, the collective unconscious. This is not just a poetic metaphor. Jung meant it literally. We inherit more than biology. We inherit patterns of thought, behavior, and emotion, passed down through generations. The collective unconscious is the psychological DNA of humanity. It's where the archetypes live, universal templates of human experience that appear in myths, art, religion, and dreams across every culture. You've met these archetypes before. The hero, who faces challenges and transforms. The shadow, who contains what we fear and reject. The anima and animus representing our inner opposite, masculine in women, feminine in men. The wise old man, the great mother, the trickster. These aren't characters in stories. They're parts of you. When you feel called to something greater, that's the hero waking up. When you dream of chaos, that's the shadow stirring. To ignore these archetypes is to deny parts of your nature. To understand them is to gain access to timeless wisdom. Practically, this means paying attention to your dreams, noticing recurring symbols, exploring myths and stories that resonate with you, asking, what archetype am I living out? What role am I stuck in? And what archetype do I need to embody to grow? The journey is both personal and universal. You are not alone. You never were. Even as we explore deeper levels of who we are, there remains one persistent obstacle: the ego. The ego is the mental structure that gives us a sense of I. It helps us function, set boundaries, make decisions, but it also creates separation. It says, this is me, and that is not me. The problem arises when we over-identify with the ego, when we mistake its voice for our truth. It clings to stories. I'm not good enough. I must be successful. I can't change. But these are just constructs, beliefs formed from childhood, culture, trauma. They are not who you are. They are who you learned to be. Jung's insight was this: the ego must serve the self, not rule it. And the self, in Jungian terms, is the totality of your being, your conscious mind, your unconscious depths, and your transcendent potential. Letting go of ego illusions means loosening your grip on fixed identities. It means asking, in moments of fear or pride, who is speaking right now? My ego or myself? It's learning to observe your thoughts without believing every one of them, to challenge your assumptions, to see yourself as a process, not a product. And when you do, something amazing happens. You create space. You become flexible. You start to feel free. To ignore these archetypes is to deny parts of your nature. To understand them is to gain access to timeless wisdom. Practically, this means paying attention to your dreams, noticing recurring symbols, exploring myths and stories that resonate with you, asking, what archetype am I living out? What role am I stuck in? And what archetype do I need to embody to grow? The journey is both personal and universal. You are not alone. You never were. This path is not easy. It asks everything of you. You will question your beliefs. You will face your fears. You will grieve the person you once pretended to be. You may feel isolated as you pull away from old identities and relationships that no longer align. You might face resistance from within and from others. Moments of confusion, doubt, and emotional overwhelm will arise. You may lose your sense of direction. You may even wonder if the journey is worth it. But in that disorientation lies possibility, because what is falling away is not your truth, it's your illusion. Here are some reminders to carry with you. Be patient. The self does not reveal itself all at once. It unfolds gradually, layer by layer. Stay curious. Replace judgment with inquiry. Ask, what is this emotion trying to show me? Ground yourself in breath, in nature, in silence. Return to your body when the mind becomes too loud. Create. Express your inner landscape through writing, art, or movement. The unconscious speaks in symbols. Connect. Seek out others who are also waking up. Share your insights. Listen deeply. Healing is amplified in community. And most of all, trust the process. You are not broken. You are becoming. The pain you feel is not the end. It is the contraction before the expansion, the darkness before the dawn, the shedding before the revealing. Because when the old self dies, what remains is real. And realness is rare. Realness is raw. Realness is alive. Most people will never take this journey. They will live out the scripts handed to them, seeking approval, comfort, and certainty. But some will awaken. Some will feel the stirrings of the self, the ache for wholeness, and they will answer. Perhaps you are one of them. So here we are, you listening, breathing, remembering. The question is not, who should I be? But rather, who am I beneath it all? Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. But today, you stand at a threshold. You can choose to go deeper, to seize what has been hidden, to reclaim what was lost, to meet yourself for the first time. This is not the end of your journey. This is the true beginning. Because life does not truly begin when you're born. It begins when you find yourself. If something inside you stirred, if the voice of the self whispered from the shadows, then listen. Don't rush back into the noise. Sit with it. Explore it. Write. Reflect. Dream. And when you're ready, step through the door, because the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more authentic ones. It needs you.